Yeah, you know me. So, yoga. We've been talking about what Donna Farhi calls the 7 movements of the body. There's 7, I think I said levels, but levels probably isn't accurate. It's more our body. There are 7 different kinds of movement. And they are, I'll get the chair if Christy makes it, but I don't know if she made it. So the first one we worked on last week, and we will always work on this one. Well, we'll always work on a lot of them, but had to do with breathing. So this inhale, outhale, and the movement that is in a healthy breath, right? In a breath that really makes a viable. I don't know if you've ever. Let's try something. Let me do a little thing. Hair and ponytail. Okay. So just kind of round down, kind of collapse, and try and just breathe. Take some deep inhales. You cannot lift your shoulders to deep inhale. And notice how difficult that is. You got to go way further, not just round, collapse. Okay, there's this collapse. And notice that you can breathe, you can kind of puff into your back a little bit, but this is a harder place to breathe. So I want you to think about if you do couch potato sitting at all to watch a movie. Or maybe you are on your computer, and we're exaggerating, okay? So if you're on your computer, your laptop, your computer all the time, this is what we're doing. And this breath is not going to be, go ahead and sit up, just find those sit bones on your chair, root down and lengthen up, okay? You'll find this breath now becomes a deeper breath, right? And the first, remember when we talked about the breathing, we want like an oscillating fan. That's the breath that we want. And I mentioned John Douliard's book, Mind, Body, Sport, where he literally did all of his experimenting on top level athletes and what their breath was like. Okay, and that in their high performance mode, okay, their breath is here. Even though their body's output has gone to here, they're still being able to keep the breath. And so that's one of the things we practice in yoga, is just that inhale. Because what we tend to do is we'll do and this is what I hear all the time in class, we'll be doing something, and I'm doing it right now, I'm holding my breath, and then all of a sudden I'll hear, you know, right, that they're either, they've been holding the inhale, or you have them holding the exhale because they're trying to get this done, and they go, and you get that gaspy inhale. Okay, that is not an oscillating fan. If you had a fan that worked like that, you would get rid of it and get a new fan, right? Because it would be, right? And so that was kind of the first movement, is this having this idea, okay? The second movement that we're going to talk about today is called yielding. That's what she calls it, okay? I sometimes call it surrender, okay? We go from the collapse. It's going to be in between this collapse state, and then go ahead and sit up ramrod straight. Just sit up as straight as you can. Tighten everything. Get as tall. Sometimes you might feel like I'm asking you to do this when you sit up straight, because normally our sit up straight is kind of here. I'm just as guilty as anybody else, right? And so, but you can have this ramrod stiff, so stiff that you can't move. So I want you to find yourself as a tin soldier. Sit up as tall as you can, squeezing everything, and then try to move. And you just like, yeah, it's not easy. It doesn't feel good. And so this yield is in between, right? It's a grounding down. Go ahead and you can release. and upright. If we work from that state all the time, we would have snapping. It's very similar to an elastic band, okay? If you have an elastic band in a baggie, how you buy them in the store, they'll last for a long time, okay? If you take that elastic band and expand it around something and keep it there, there's two things that happen. First, the elastic band changes sizes. Second, if left long enough, it breaks because it just becomes brittle because it's stretched and held, right? So we don't want to brittle. We do want to find the expansion, okay? So everything that's touching the ground, go ahead and plant your feet. Go ahead and find your sit bones on your chair. Your hands can be on your thighs, okay? All of that stuff grounds down. Just kind of feel a gentle push into the earth. I want you to think of what, has anybody not walked on sand? Okay, I didn't think that would be, okay? But when you walk on sand, you actually kind of dig.
It feels good.
It feels good, right? We dig down. That's what I want you to feel like with your feet and your sit bones, that you're kind of just finding that. And then everything that is connected to that grounding down and space, expand, just broaden. Just find the breath lifts up. You don't even have to move your hands. You feel your shoulders expand. You'll feel your face. And then notice how the breath becomes that oscillating nature because you've yielded to the grounding. That's where that word comes from. So today in our movement, I really want us to find the foundation and then the expansion, okay? How we go? That's it. Go ahead. Some of you need to take socks off still. Spread through your toes, put down, and just kind of try to spread so that there's space between each toe. Yes, good luck with that one, because that one's not an easy one. Okay, I find it easier to do if I'll stick my big toe and the big toe knuckle and the ball of the foot on that inside, and then I just put it on the floor and make my foot spread out. Do the same thing on the other side, make the toes spread out, right? And then go ahead and do the same thing with your hand. Hands are much easier, but ooh, I did a whole clear back in the, gosh, it had to be in the 80s, so a long time ago. I did a whole workshop with a guy that wanted us to have our feet be as dexterous as our hands.
Ooh.
Yeah, good luck with that one, right? And I ended up with little blisterings. They didn't hurt, but all over from just brushing and spreading. And as a dancer, he wanted our toes and our feet to be that dexterous. So go ahead, bring your feet back a little bit, come up and find just a little bit of that movement. Just roll through those ankles. Now, as you push down with your feet, kind of let this rolling motion lift and expand. These movements, a lot of them are very like esoteric. They're kind of, we really have to kind of, oh, I get that kind of. But it's kind of new concepts. Go ahead and reverse the angle that you're rolling those ankles. And then push the feet down again, push the sit bones down again, and find that length. Inhaling and exhaling. And then go ahead, beautifully done. Nice start to the day. Grab your ball. We're going to do it underneath the feet, and then I'm going to show you how you can roll different parts of the body. I've had some requests for that. So, but let's go ahead and just come underneath the feet. We're looking for, now I want think in terms of that grounding and expansion, okay, the healing. So as you push down, yeah, that's a grounding motion, and sometimes it's painful, sometimes it isn't. See if while you push down, the rest of your foot, and maybe even you'll feel it in your calf muscle, maybe even the front of your shin, you're gonna find an expansion, okay? So see if that happens, a grounding down and an expansion. These bodies are the most incredible things. We have an arch on the inside of the foot. Guess what? We actually have an arch on the outside of the foot, but very rarely do you see a footprint that shows that little arch, because that side of the foot is where we tend to take the weight. We tend to, when you walk, notice, where do I walk? When I've taught this particular principle before, I've just had people walk around the room on their bare feet and notice where their feet touch the floor, okay? We're not gonna take the time to do that today, but it's a great exercise. Go ahead and bring it so that the heel's down, and now the ball is underneath the ball of the foot. And just shear it, go side to side. Now for me, because I go barefoot so much, I've got a big mound of skin right on the ball of my feet. I try to file it down. I try to add creams and salves and wear socks to bed to try and soften that down. And it can be softer, but I do have so this movement on me, I hardly feel anything. Go ahead, put the ball of the foot down and roll through your heels. Your heels might also be very tough. They get cracked, right? So you might not feel that. It's still working. Then you're gonna come and grab the toes, move it out a little bit, right? Find our three amigos. The big toe on one side, the pinky toe on the other side. Go ahead and I want you down a little further. There you go, just push it down, okay? My left one is much better than my right one. Hey, we're supposed to be there. There you go. And then come up. We're cutting off the blood flow to the toes. That is what we're doing. Your ball of your foot is down, if you can get it down. So it's my ball of my foot is touching the floor. The ball is taking my three toes and moving them, just really crunching them. In yoga, in a regular yoga class, we call it screaming toe. We go like this, and we sit back and hold. Okay, it's doing the same thing, although you get more toes. And what it does is cut the blood flow off to those toe areas, because when you block, we don't do it for hours, right? And you see why it's called screaming toe, because pretty soon the toes start to say, hello, can you feel that I am hurting? And then you come up and notice from white toes to just total, and that blood rushes through. A lot of yoga poses are designed to do that through the body. Cut the blood flow off, open it back up. Okay, it's that kind of oscillating. We'll talk about blood flow later. Go ahead, come back to that. You probably are still there on your three amigos. Come up, let your foot come off and curl over the ball. Okay, really stretching across the top of the foot. This is something that is easier for women to do than men. Okay. I want you to try and point the toe, but at the same time, we're curling the toes under. Okay? Yeah. Go ahead and roll even a little more forward. Now, I want you to roll. We have not done this before, and I'm going to move over to the side so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay? As I'm coming through, I'm rolling the ball down towards the arch, but I'm keeping the toes curled under. So see if you can turn and curl the toes under. Nice, yeah. So that you're really working the tops of these toes. Now I want you to think for a minute. These toes are our balance. If we didn't have toes, we would fall forward a lot with our weight of our body because of where it is and how it's worked. And then release that, okay? And just spread back, like your hands, right? Spread those toes open. And then go ahead. I want you to see if you can just pick up one leg. You can hold it. If you can cross over, you can. But here, I want you to just hold the leg in the air and circle it. So you're finding range of motion. Yeah. And then plant that foot. Is there a difference between this side and this foot? For this one's kind of tingly. Okay, my toes are even, they have some numbing. Yeah, you'll have numbing. We've cut off some of the nerve, and it just means those nerves are working. It's kind of fun. All right, second side. Here we go. First of all, just find your tight places. Find those places that are a little sensational. You notice I don't say they're painful. It's sensation. We work with sensation. One of the things that a yoga practice helps us do is understand that I'm going to do tough things in life. And I can do tough things. I can work through a tough situation. I don't have to turn and run. I can, okay, there it is. I got it, right? What we tend to do, we get injured, we have something happen, but we're talking kind of physically the body right now. It does apply to the mind and the spirit, but the body, we tend to have pain. My foot's, what's the first thing we do?
Make it harder.
Make it what?
Not hurt.
Make it not hurt. And how do we make it not hurt? We what? We stop what we're doing. What if the stopping what you're doing doesn't help? Then what do?
Rub it.
We rub it, okay? And then if it doesn't work,
So
we take a Tylenol, we take an ibuprofen, we take something to numb the pain. That pain is telling us something. It's telling us something's not working quite well. We've got to get better at listening. I'm not saying that we never take any pain medication. Don't even go there. But there'll be times, and I remember so distinctly, it was probably my third time being a mom on a youth track, right? A handcart track. And we had hiked like 15 miles that day. Well, as done a woman's only pull up a hill, right? And I was very fit. We got done, and my body, just no matter what I did, I tried some yoga, I tried moving, I just ached. And I hadn't even had the thought to take an ibuprofen or a Tylenol because that's just not my nature. Go ahead, find the ball of the foot, the heel now while I talk, and just roll across, shearing the ball of the foot. Okay. Notice that as you shear the ball of the foot, can you see the knuckles on the top side? They're working as well. Okay, that's the expansion we create because we're grounding. Then go ahead, come back to the heel and go across. So anyway, we were having a dance that night, and I was like, can I even do this? My whole body aches. And the thought came, you could take something. And I'm like, I don't do that. And then I could. And I took one. And I felt great, right? And it wasn't that I was masking, I was helping the body heal. And sometimes we've got to do that. So there really is this median path, right? We don't want the extreme of I never take anything. We don't want the extreme of I take everything all day long. And I've got friends. I can't make it through the day without 10 ibuprofen. And I'm like, you're hurting, So, okay, find your three amigos. And lift your heel. Yeah. Hey, you're on the same foot. Move to the other foot. I should have caught that quicker, sorry. Yeah. Is that pleasant feeling?
No.
Joan's like, yes. It's okay. It's okay. We all have different things. As a society, we don't pay a ton of attention to our feet. We pay attention to, at least as women, if our toenails look pretty. Joan's always look pretty. Mine are just haggard, but that's okay. Right? But we don't kind of, how are my feet feeling? And yet this is what walks us through our day. This is what helps us exercise, right? So we spent some time on our feet in this class. Go ahead and come back up, right? Here we go. Roll it over, come to a point. So heel, point. Now, if you start to get a cramp in the arch or in the calf, you just come out, massage, roll, and then just come back in, okay? Then we're gonna do kind of something we haven't done different, right? You're gonna roll the ball back to the arch, but the toes are still just trying to curl under as tight as you can get them, okay? Notice, can you see that my knuckles are white? That's cutting off blood flow. That's expanding the top. Now, I was gonna say on this side, but it's not. It was this side that you can't see the one knuckle because it broke years ago. And then release. Yeah, alrighty. Grab the ball. So, these balls are valuable little tools, okay? You can use a lacrosse ball, it's harder. You can use a golf ball, it's harder and smaller. To me, it's harder to be as dexterous. You can buy massage balls, they're about $30, usually online. I don't know about you, but I like $1.50, $2. I want you to take it, okay? And we're doing this specific spot for our class, right? So just take and just, do you feel that? Oh yeah. So you get to determine, you don't want to go to maximum pain, okay? Our inner thighs are some of the most tender. Now for me, do you guys feel that at all? Remember the rolling pin? Yeah. Your rolling pin is hard like a lacrosse ball. That's what, yeah, Larry's rolling around his knees. And it's making a difference, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, you can do both knees. Because we'll do both knees. So you want to find some places now. If getting up is a piece of cake to you, that grounding motion, so I will do these often down here. I'll get down. This is kind of how I watch TV. It's like this. Okay, and can you see? Yeah, I know. TV's not even worth watching if you have to watch it like this. Isn't that true? So can you see where I'm just rolling? Because those inner thighs, right there around the knees, they take a lot of pressure. So maybe you can do that, or maybe you just do it with your hand, like this. Go ahead and do the other side. Okay. It doesn't hurt near as bad, isn't that funny? Oftentimes when you first, every muscle, Dr. Beardall discovered this in the 70s. It wasn't until the 1970s that they even figured out that each muscle has its own nerve that makes it fire. And if that nerve, if there's something damaged in that muscle that nerve can't fire, then that muscle won't be contracting and all the surrounding muscles. So just for example, quadricep muscle, just the quad muscle. Go ahead and just lift up one leg. Okay, feel the muscle that kind of engages to lift that up. You are working a psoas muscle, you've got other things, but just the quad muscle has 4 muscles. Every one of those muscles has its own nerve. So if one part of that quad is not firing, okay, then all the other muscles take over. And then all of a sudden the body says, I can't keep doing this. This is too much pressure, okay? So finding those muscles, and so when they fire them and turn them back on, there's some sore places because those muscles haven't worked, right? Yeah.
I feel like I've strained.
Yeah.
Is it good to try to roll?
Yep. So we've talked about fascia before, but we're going to get into it a little bit here too, because I love the fascia. The very first time I ever heard about fascia was in my cadaver lab in my sophomore or junior year of college. Okay, and in that lab, they were dissecting, and I got to go in to dissect because I was dating the guy that was dissecting. And I wanted to go and see that. When I first saw cadaver, I was like, I want to know that body. That's what I want. That's what I want. So they cut open, and you know how when you get chicken and you take the skin off of that white stuff, they are pulling this white stuff off this cadaver body, and they're throwing it. I said, what is that? That's just fascia. We don't need that. Okay? We don't, and really they were trying to dissect muscles, and so you don't. But what they have since found is that fascia runs through the entire body as different types of connective tissue. Some connective tissue is very firm. Other is very flexible. So you take just a muscle fiber, one little fiber that's probably like a piece of yarn. It might be that big. It's coated in a layer of fascia. And then all the whole muscle fibers for that muscle together are again coated. So if you took the muscle out and dissected through the middle, you would see a honeycomb of fascia that's all through. So every muscle. Then you have they've dissected trains, what they call, like starting at the feet, running all the way up, that this fascia can come all the way up, and then they go through the body, and it's pretty amazing stuff. But yes, so you have something damaged. This is going to do two things. It's going to increase blood flow to the area, which is always healing, okay? And one of the things they're finding, now you still might have muscle that is damaged that needs to be turned back on, or it needs to be healed. Because like if you pull a muscle, okay, there's a pop, you get a bruise. That's because something's popped and broken. That's what a bruise is blood inside the body. And so you know, it'll take some time to heal, but this just increases it lessens the heal time. It increases the ability for the body to heal on its own. And so that's why massage is so good. They call it body work. Okay? Does that make sense? So that is what I would do over finding and keep those massages going. That's fabulous. I know, but how'd you feel after? Good. Okay. How many of you are gardener extraordinaire? Do you like shoveling and taking stuff out? I mean, do you like the work of physically?
I do, Debbie. I've done it already this year. I did it 2 days ago. And I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. But do you like when you grow something? Okay. Do you like when you figure out that you've got a flaw? Or do you try to skirt around it? I skirt around it sometimes. That's something you can change, right? And we know we can, regardless if it's spiritually, physically, mentally, okay? Mentally, you just notice that I keep having those negative thoughts about that person because it's that person, right? Maybe it's about your knee. Oh, I've damaged my knee. I can't do this. And then you decide, I know, look at this. You decide.
He's
so proud of himself, but yes, because we've decided that I am going to, no, I can change. I'm going to do it slow, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, right? And everything's that way. The body, the mind, the spirit, that's kind of how we get to be. It's kind of this most beautiful thing. Okay, so my ball is going to go there so it doesn't roll. Okay, let's get moving, rest of the body. Pull your chair over so that it's to one side. I'll move you guys. Okay, and you're going to bring your foot up on it. Yeah, we're going way out today. Matt, move it a little bit further away. You too, Joan. Okay. I'd like you to try and get a 90-degree angle. okay? This foot, if you struggle to keep this foot on the floor, like you got short legs, you're here, okay? We are going this way with our knees. I'd like you to ground down. What I'm wanting you to feel is the ground down motion here. Now, when I do that, you know that this is my sore hip. I immediately feel, that. And so I breathe, and I'm going to come out of it by pulling my knees together. That eases it. And then I'm going to come back in with my breath, trying to find the stretch. So that's where I want you to go. I want you to pull in. This is the tension, right? This is the grounding, and then push out. There's the expansion, okay? I'm pushing into my foot as well as this foot. The knees and the thighs are just, they're spreading the direction they're going. I'm going to pull it in. You can do this at home with a stool. Try it with the chair. A stool's going to be about here. We're giving ourselves a little bit more range of motion in that hip, okay? Go ahead and go wide and hug it in. We're learning that those muscles are meant to stretch. They are really, theory, I'm not sure they've totally proven this, but the theory is that our tightness, our stiffness comes from the fascia that just is adhered to the muscle versus tight muscle. Now, with that said, I know we can change the shape of our body, because when I met my husband, his forward fold was here. That's all he could do. He could not get any further. And now he can get clear down, okay? Yes, we've been married for 43 years.
If you fall forward standing on your hands, you're going to be.
I'm going to hit, aren't I now? You pull that. So now, okay, I'd like you to move this foot instead of here, move it to the inside edge, the closest into the body, okay? And then we're taking this one wider. If you need a block, take the block, okay? But you're taking this one out wider. You might have to pick it up and take it over, okay? If you've got stuff in the way, find that. Yeah, here we go. And this time, we're actually going to try top of the pelvis, moving forward and back. So the movement is here. I'm opening through these hips. Okay, I'm going as wide as I can make them. And I'm creating some movement here, okay? One of the things that was requested by a student, one that's online, reached out to me, is how do I get my hips so that they just, like, I can move them, and there's only one way, and that is to move. Notice that when you pull here forward, okay, you feel almost like somebody's trying to take off your drumstick, right? You're pulling, you feel that engagement. I want you to hold for another whole breath, and then release. Walk this foot in first, bring this foot down, and just wobble through those legs. Okay, how's that feel? Good now, right? When you were doing it, is it like, why am I doing this? This is anti-aging stuff, in my opinion. Okay, take your chair over to your other side, because we're going to do the other one. If you need a block. The first one we do, okay, this foot is just here. And this foot comes kind of to the middle of the chair. Instead of, I don't want it this close. I want you to push it away. Ooh. Sorry, that hip is just my sore temper. Okay, here we go. You're going to go wide. You're just trying to widen the knees. And then you're hugging in. And then you're widening them. And you're hugging in. And then you're widening. Please push into your feet. Okay, this foot, it's hard, it's up in the air, but I want you to push. Your chair may slide a little. You just kind of go, that's a little bit too much push, right? Yeah, take it wide. So the knees, they're trying to go over the feet, not just out to the side, right? They're trying to go that direction. What do they call that when you're sending out a line segment, right? For geometry. And then go ahead and release. Plant this one here. This one's now going way over, as far as you need it, on a block if you need it. You're really here, opening wide. Okay, so it's changed. My chair didn't move, but what I'm doing with the hips, and here it's just a forward reach. I can hardly, this one doesn't have near the flexibility. I'm sure I've got scar tissue in this hip. Okay, pull it back. Go ahead and open it up. Pull it back. If you feel a cramp, you stop, you come out, and you come back in. Okay, finding that movement. Okay, that movement is taking and we're pulling away from the hip socket. The femur bone is actually moving out of the socket, okay? Every bone has tendon, okay? Tendons hook the bones together, okay? And then release. Go ahead and bring it down, bring it in, wobble through those legs. Okay. But notice now, go ahead and do some hip circles. So oftentimes we'll start with the hip circle, right? Go ahead and reverse that. Does anybody get a click, 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 or a grind or anything?
That's a Yuri on duty.
And take the next one. So we're finding, so how's that feel? Okay, good. And then reverse it. We're not doing a ton of them. We don't need to do a ton of them. We just need to do them consistently. And then put it down. Beautifully done. Go ahead and sit up straight. Now, can anybody feel that their low back has worked because we've worked our hips? Okay. So as we age, most of our movement is linear, moving forward or backwards. The moving out to the side, the twisting is the stuff that we lose as we age. Okay. So I want you can just do it there. You don't need to just push that one off to the side. Go ahead and turn. You're going to come this way on your chair. Just push your stuff out of the way. Come to the edge of your chair so you're on the edge. Okay. We've done this before. The hand, okay, that's furthest away from your chair is the one you're going to reach for the back of the chair with. This hand that's closest to the chair will come here. We're twisting. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Turn your knees a little bit more towards the wall, Larry. Just turn your knees backwards, away from me. Take your knees, there you go. Okay, holding on to that, just twist the body. So you're trying to bring the body towards the chair. Hold for a couple breaths. And then let go of the chair. Don't slingshot out, right? Use the muscle to bring yourself back around to the straight over your knees. Then you're going to take the hand that was closest to the chair is going to come across. This hand is going to come behind. So we're doing a little bit different stretch here. Hold on to your chair, okay? This shoulder will love to roll forward. See if you can pull it up and back. Bend your elbow, and that's going to help pull it away. So we're getting also a nice little stretch right there. Here we go. And you can look at the ground, but I would prefer if you look straight forward at me. And just use this hand. Don't let the knee move, right? Hold and push down, and then find that expansion. Just expand. Maybe the elbows go a little wider. Maybe that the body lengthens up, and then you're going to release and see if you can use the body to come back around. And then just, yeah, do that. Notice, does your back feel better having twisted? Mine does. Okay. We're going to do one more on this side, and then we'll go to the other side. Okay. So, furthest arm takes the back, the chair. Closest arm goes opposite. Use those hands to pull you around. You're sitting, and so one of the things that happens here is we anchor the hips. So from the pelvis, we are twisting the entire length of the spine, and it loves this. Take another breath. Go ahead and release the hands and slowly unwind. This hand comes here, this hand comes here, right? Shoulder pulls back. We always, this working here just works and works the pecs and the anterior deltoid, and most of us have little tears right in there, okay, or we've had them and they've healed. So when we pull it back, okay, we're using the entire back, the posterior and the medial side of that deltoid muscle. That shoulder has 3 muscles.
Are you pulling using this hand to pull?
Yeah, it's pulling, I'm bending the elbow, and I'm actually trying almost to pull the elbows away from each other. Breathe. Larry, that come the other direction. You twisted that way already. There you go. Don't leave your knees and put your hand here. Yeah, there you go. Twisting the opposite direction, but using some different muscles. And then release and come back. Okay, I want you to lean forward, and I want you to round back. I want you to lean forward and round back. Go ahead and lean forward and round back. Yes, one more. Lean forward and round back, and then pause. Sit up. Couple of breaths. Notice the walk. Go ahead, walk around. Come back, center. We're going to do a couple things before we go to the second side. Okay. Holding on here, up and over, just a side bend. Okay. Hand behind the head. Push the head into the hand. Push the hand back into the head. So you got this give and take going on. This shoulder pulls on the back. The elbow is just expanding. So we are trying to stretch this armpit. Yes, armpit stretch. Only in yoga. This hand, okay, the shoulder loves to roll forward. So we always watch it going back. Slightly bend the elbow will help you get it back. Notice that this also opens across the chest. And you can actually squeeze your shoulder blades together slightly, because that's going to help that muscle. And go ahead and release, round it down. You're trying to bring this elbow towards the leg. You probably won't get it to touch. And then you're going to come back, shoulders on the back, open through. Lift up, head and hand, playing tug of war. Yeah, breathe, push into your feet. Don't let them lift. I know. Come back, round. That's through the back, but it's also through the neck. Tuck the chin. It's also through the shoulders. Come back up. Open, last one. Stretch, reach, and then release. Just come back, and you're going to kind of do like you're swimming. Okay, you can take the arms out if you want. I love to lift the elbows, because when you lift and start with the elbows, you get a bigger stretch in the rib cage. Just because there's a muscle that attaches the upper arm to the rib cage. Yeah. And then reverse it. Backstroke. This I do want you to go elbows back. Reach, reach, reach. Yeah, reach. And then release. Shake it out. Wiggle through it. Go ahead and wiggle your hips. And pause. Beautifully done. Pick the legs. We'll get to the other side on that one too. Come, move, come to the edge of your chair, okay? This coming to the edge of the chair moves us away from the twist. So it makes our twist a little bit more aggressive. This hand away, furthest from the chair, grabs this closest part. This hand closest to the chair grabs the other. And you're just gonna use your hands. Try to pull your shoulders on the back and take the twist. Take another breath, release the hands, and unwind. Yeah. Hand closest to the chair reaches across. This hand here reaches here. Find the edge, shoulder back, bring it out this way, right? There's a little bit of pressure between the hand and the leg. Bringing out the spine. Root down and expand. And release the hands and work your way back. We just got one more each side. Furthest hand here, closest hand here. Find the twist. Notice the hips are pushing down, the feet are pushing down gently. but they're firmly rooting and grounding into the earth. Take another breath here. Release the hands, unwind the body, okay? Notice that the low back has to do the work here, okay? Hand comes across, this hand comes here. Shoulder on the back, find the openness.
Are you trying to get resistance, or you're not pulling on anything?
I'm not really pulling, but I'm trying to get the spine to rotate on its own, and sometimes, great question, sometimes the use of our hands does help. So if you need to bend this elbow slightly, you'll notice it pulls on the ribs a little bit more, gives you a little bit more torque. But, so yeah, there is some torque. And then release, here we go. Lean forward, round it back. Lean forward, round it back. Lean forward, round it back. Stay in this round for a minute, tuck your chin. Try to make the letter C with your spine. So really, if you'll use your feet to push down and forward in the floor, on the floor, you're gonna find that you actually get a little more give in the mid-back. You're just trying to round it, and then slowly unwind. Find the sit bones rooting in, slowly come to what is your perfect anatomical spine. A little bit of a curl in the low back, a little bit of a curl in the cervical neck area. Top of the head reaching, looking straight forward. Shoulders actually pull back a little bit, they hang right there in between. This is homework, okay? And mirror. And notice if you have a this, where the shoulders are rolling forward, or if you have a this, where the shoulders are way pulling back, or if you're just here. Just notice, okay? So notice your spine. You want it. It's not going to be ramrod straight. We have curves. We're meant to have curves. Go ahead and come back. Here we go. We got another side to do here. All righty. Edge of the chair. Hold on to this side. Up we go. We're going to go up and over. Yeah? Yeah. Nice shift. I didn't even have to catch you. Come up and over. One more. Up and over, and then hand comes behind the head. Push. Now, both shoulders. Take them up and around and back. So it's almost like you've just done a shoulder circle, right? And you've left and back. Look up. Find a stretch. So this elbow is reaching up. You notice I'm not saying left and right, because I could say your left elbow, because you know that. But on screen, actually I probably would, because I'm mirroring the screen. I don't know. It kind of messes with you. So push that up, right? Find that reach. And then go ahead and come down. Tuck your chin. Come back up. Notice that one side you might have a ton more flexibility, because we're not symmetrical. We have two things, but they're not necessarily. One more. Round and down. Go ahead and release. Come up. Let's do our backstroke first. It's just a shoulder circle. When we do the elbow, okay, go ahead and do here. Just notice, here's my shoulder circle if I do it here. If I do here, you feel it all along the side of the body, because that serratus anterior muscle, I'm lifting my arm using the deltoid muscle, right? It's like, oh, and then go forward and find that give. And then maybe some little twists here. Yeah. Beautifully done. Okay, come all the way to a seat, or stand. This is not a seat. I don't know my anatomical. Yeah, I want you to come to the back of your chair. I'm turning mine around. You're just going to walk around to the back. We're going to stretch our spine. You will notice we will do this every class, okay? If you're on a hardwood surface, put something that's going to make so your chair, you don't want it to slide, okay? This was the homework from last week. Do you remember? Holding on to the countertop, okay? I'm going to show you just a little bit what I mean. You're totally welcome to put your hand on your countertop at home, right? And reach back or a chair. The problem with this is if I reach really far, I can easily pull that chair out a countertop, you are not going to be able to pull. If you feel like you want to go deeper, I had somebody ask that question. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my thumbs. They're wrapping around this chair and bending the knees. You can come lower and find that same stretch in the spine. Okay, so you would use the bottom of a chair, something a little bit lower to reach and stretch. Go ahead and come back up to the top of the chair. That was just somebody asked that specific, can I reach this? Now I want you to round your spine here, okay? I tried to be in front of that window in the wall so you can see my spine. And then I want you to bend those knees and go the other direction, okay? And then I'd like you to come back to that anatomical correctness, okay? So I'm gonna stay on the chair, but I want you guys to go find a wall spot. And it's going to look like this on the wall. You're going to plant the hands, okay? And you're going to come back. I want the hands not to be too high, but to be straight. I'd like you to find that straight spine. Bend those knees, reach back, find the length. Push into the wall and expand back. So normally we expand back with the hips, but this will give you a wall to push against. So go ahead and give that a try. It just is still looking like this, but now I can push into the wall with my hands and find that expansion back from it. Joyce, feet a little closer together and step back a little further. Yeah, there you go. Okay, Larry, instead of letting the knees go forward, the band is going to bring you, I'm going to just pull on your hands. Yeah. Push into the wall, push into the wall, push into the wall. You're pushing back this way with your hands, with your belt, with your sit bones. Oh, yeah, that's a little different, right? To push into that. Join the left. Joan, that is great. Yeah. No, you look great. Bring your hands up a little higher. You too, Matt. Take your hands up a little higher. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is homework, yes? Finding that reach. Walk your feet back just a tiny bit. Try to turn your toes. Oh, yeah. Can you feel the difference in your pelvic area? Yes. Beautifully done. And then walk close. Okay, I don't want you to do this without holding onto the wall. You can do it on the counter because your counter you can push into, but sometimes your hand will slip on the counter, and on the wall you have a real good foundation, right? Something that you can really push against. I wish that, I don't know if you can see this over here.
Here, spot.
Like here. No, I'm just looking because they're on the screen because I'm trying to record these. Okay, so pushing back, reaching, lengthening that spine, right? Finding that tight. Oh, go ahead and come back in. Do it again. So you're pushing the wall away, lengthening your spine. Joyce, feet together more. Yeah. Try to turn your feet so they're straight forward. We love to have that turnout. Yeah, Mac. And reach the sit bones towards me. Oh, push into the wall and reach in. Yes. Beautifully done. So we've got that opposite action, that lengthening of the spine, but we're pushing and expanding. So everything touching a foundation would be really our hands and our feet. They are pushing down. Everything else is expanding away from that push. Come up. Yeah, slowly use the wall if you need to. Walk it closer. Woo! How are we doing?
Okay.
Is that all right? Okay. Come all the way back to your chair.
I see stars.
You see stars? All right. Really well done today, okay? We're going to do our Shavasana in our chair with our bolster. And I'm getting you a firmer bolster there. I know you've got one. Matt doesn't. And Joan, your head. Okay, so on this one, okay? You're trying to get, I'm gonna go sideways. We've done this one before, okay? Yeah, we have to use 2 chairs, it's okay. You're gonna pull this one fairly close. The block just keeps the bolster. You've got a zipper on one side, turn it down. The block just keeps it from collapsing, okay? And then it's laying here, and then I'd like you to try and lengthen up your body as long as you can, and just turn the head. Now the hands, they can be on the chair. Okay, if this isn't comfortable, let me know, because we can totally put a couple more blocks here. Do you need something more? Yeah, bring it as close as you can get it. This is going to be our Shavasana today. We've done twists. Take some deep breaths. So is that, Mac, are you 100% comfortable there, or is that really awkward? What do you think?
It's pretty good.
Is it pretty good? Okay, because your hands look like they're having to grip.
No,
Okay, no, okay. Larry, you okay there?
absolutely.
And Joyce? How are your hands? Do you need something under your hands, Joyce? Do you need something under your hands? Are they okay? Okay? No, they don't have to go on top. They can totally, if that's more comfortable here. You're trying to find a place now that the spine is just supported. If you find that your head feels better, try both sides. Mine feels better to the right, but let's move it to the other side as well. It's just twisting the spine, right? It's just getting, so find which way is the most comfortable. Taking some really deep breaths. We're going to hold this pose for about 3 minutes. Letting the breath wash over. And then pretty soon you even let the breath go until you're really not focusing on anything. Your mind may wander. Don't judge it for wandering. It's meant to wander. Our brains are thinking machines. So when we yield, we are allowing the surfaces that are in contact with the earth. We're giving our weight to the earth, right? And then the yielding is the pushback that's automatically created. Newton's law says for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. Whatever surface touches the ground, touches the wall, touches the chair, let that become the yielding surface. And then all the other body parts that are connected to those that are grounding down, we expand. And when we do this, there's a yielding, there's an energetic movement. It's not one that maybe someone can see, but you can feel it. Start taking some really deep breaths. And begin to move gently, slowly working your way back to the seat. You can totally push your chair away, although your chair is on the mat. It's not going to push so easily. Coming eventually to your seat. And in your seat, just wiggle. Notice your body. Notice what you've done to it today. Some might say this was a little aggressive, more so than what we normally have done, because we had our legs up a little higher, right? It's okay. We twisted. Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead and bring your hands to your heart center, because I love what Namaste means. It means the light and the divine and the greatness that's within me sees it in each of you and bows to that, acknowledges that. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for wiggling with me.